I want to talk journalism now, and 10 years of defending the truth. And in that time, the Daily Maverick website, I'm told, has published something like 47,000 features. Well, all of that is put together now in a brand new book. It's out this Christmas. It's called We Have a Game Changer, a decade of the Daily Maverick. And I'm going to take you live now to Cape Town. The Chief Executive Officer of the Daily Maverick, Styli Charalambous, is standing by to talk to us. Styli, good morning to you. Thanks for popping in today. The website itself, in your own words, how would you describe it? It's more than just a news and current affairs site, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it started off being something and then got dragged into the politics of the country after a while. And as the media industry itself was changing and evolving and feeling the pressures of economics and politics in this country, and it ended up being this place where, you know, we believe it to be a place where people can come, can get the truth, and can experience quality long-form journalism.
And in many ways, way ahead of its time, because it was born when we were still grappling with the concept of digital in this country. Someone had a vision. Who was that?
Yeah, that was our founder and editor-in-chief, Branko Brikic. 20 years plus of publishing in the magazine world, in the books world, and Maverick magazine, as a precursor to this experiment and to this initiative, was where things were born. And when that stopped publishing in 2008, he had the vision to say, digital is the future, and Daily Maverick was born out of the concept of how do we bring a glossy, quality, long-form monthly magazine into the online world, and that's how Daily Maverick was conceived.
At the time, Styli, once this went live, what was the response then, I wonder, of the more traditional media houses? They can't have been too enchanted with it.
No, a lot of people thought we were crazy. A lot of people still think we are crazy. People have been calling our time of death at any given stage for the last decade. It's been around the corner. People are predicting it. I think people have been hoping for it. But somehow, and as we say on the back of the book, it's when control issues, stubbornness and creativity collide, and that pretty much sums up the 10-year journey for us.
Styli, you have a bunch of top-rate but very eclectic writers in your stable. Is there an overarching brief, a mandate, a philosophy that pulls them all together?
Yeah, we try to create a place where people can do and find meaning in what they do and can achieve the kind of impact on society that great quality journalism can have. And so we've created this space where they feel safe to do that, where we back them to do that, where they can express themselves, where we're not bound by the limitations of print or really strong commercial relationships with advertisers, for example, that might have a bearing on the kind of journalism that we do. Editorial independence is something that that is sacrosanct for us, and has never been compromised in any way in the entire time that we've been publishing. So that kind of culture, that environment, that backing by the editorial team has created this space where people were allowed to flourish and bring creative ways of approaching their journalism, and having the trust of management, having the trust of the editorial team, and eventually over time readers have found a place where they could come and experience that for free, and to get that kind of journalism in a long-form format.
At the end of some of the stories, you run a box, and it says, Ace Magashule hates us, Julius Malema hates us, Helen Ziller hates us. I'm sure there's a long list of people, some of them possibly living in Dubai, that also hate you. How many times have you been sued?
Only a handful of times. It hasn't really progressed too far, and we believe that the best form of defense are the standards that we employ in our editorial processes. If we're really stringent, if we do our jobs properly, then people aren't going to be rushing to the courts in a hurry to have lots of other things exposed. And so by adhering to those standards, we protect ourselves in the best way possible. A lot of times, a lot of the other threats that we have come in the form form of social media, in the form of verbal and intimidatory tactics, a banning of our journalists from attending press conferences. Those are more of the common occurrences and things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's only been a few times when it's gone quite deep into the legal process.
I'm assuming that funding for you has always been an issue.
Yes, funding has been a challenge since day one. I mean, being born into a triple whammy of the digital-only era in politics, in South Africa, in the Jacob Zuma era, all those things made it extremely difficult / stupid to be starting a digital media operation in that time. And it's been difficult, and we've had to figure out new ways of funding ourselves. We've looked towards, we've leaned on philanthropy in recent years to help fund some of our bigger projects, like the Gupta Leaks investigation. We looked to our readers recently. We launched a membership plan in the last couple of years. And so the book kind of details the story of what it was like to try and keep this business going, in this decade, in this very difficult time, while all these challenges were happening, while newsrooms around the world were shedding jobs, newsrooms in the country were being compromised by both economics and politics. And we share that story in the book as well as the biggest stories that happen in this decade. And so it's this melting pot of a little bit of history, a little bit of a business biography book, and a little bit of a look inside the newsroom and the personalities that a lot of our readers have come to know over the years.
You also, or the book also references your first encounter with the brand. And if I'm not mistaken, when you met Branko at the time, were you a little skeptical about all of this?
Well, this is my first foray into media. It's my first gig in media, so I didn't really have the 20-plus years of experience that my co-founder had. And for me, it was just a case of, just figuring out, was this something that I want to do? What were my other options? And I just kind of sat there nodding my head, trying not to sound too stupid in that meeting, and just kind of going. I could feel the passion, I could feel the excitement and the vision that he had, and I was like, well, this isn't. This doesn't sound as bad as my other options, and so we decided to start that journey together.
I'm wondering when the tipping point came for the website, when people realized that you had to become a must-read. I think you probably, just having read the book, have the Guptas to thank for that.
Yeah, I might go a little bit earlier than that. I mean, the Gupta leaks were massive for us. It was a massive investigation for us. It was a massive project for us. There were so many aspects to that. There was funding considerations for ourselves in order to be able to do the project. There were funding considerations in order to be able to relocate the whistleblowers out of the country. And so it was the reason why we had the information for a couple of months and we weren't able to do anything, because there was all this planning and logistics and fundraising around that need to happen first, and then certain events led to the compromising of that information and how it ended up to the Sunday Times, and we explain some of that and how that happened in the book as well, which I think will probably be one of the more exciting things and surprising things to a lot of readers. But I think going back to when we really sort of came onto the map in terms of investigative journalism and the kind of quality journalism that we've become known for, is probably a little bit earlier than that. I'd say I'd go back to probably Marikana, where we broke the story after weeks of investigations of a large number of our team out in the field, and the entire media industry felt like it was, at the time for us, relying on news reports that were coming out of the wires at the time, which were driven by press releases from various interested parties. And we did a lot of work on the ground at that time that proved a different narrative that was actually the case. And I think that story really put us on the map and put us in a position and almost forced our editorial into a certain space where before we may have been pushing in other directions. And so I think that really for us was a big turning point.
How do you manage a bunch of rabble-rousing, argumentative journalists, all with different opinions? Or is that the strength of the website, is that everyone has a different point of view?
The short answer is with difficulty, extreme difficulty. In fact, I think I'm not even sure that managing a group like that is even possible. You know, the editors talk about herding cats, and they go into it a little bit in the group. Our communication channels and our WhatsApp groups are really something to behold. They are incredible experiences in and of themselves. And but I think, you know, getting and attracting incredibly talented and motivated and passionate journalists is just a treasurable experience for myself, just to watch this thing unfold and to see them and see how they work and what it's like to people manage and to try and get the best out of these people. And I think there's credit to Branko and his style, and he has a very personal style and a one-on-one relationship with all of these top guys. And I think that's really what's attracted people in the industry to us over the years, is giving them that personal touch and the freedom to express themselves without any compromising tactics, you know, over their heads.
Yeah, I'd put it to you, it's not about herding cats, it's about herding unneutered tomcats. It's really difficult. When control issues, stubbornness and creativity collide, that's exactly it. Just finally, we've referenced the book, but in order for any media platform to survive, you've got to look for other opportunities. One of those is the documentary space.
Yes, we're incredibly proud of the achievement. A couple of years ago, when the Gupta leaks story was unfolding, some people in our team had the vision to say and to think that, hey, this might make for a good documentary. Let's see where this goes. And I mean, of the any number of a huge amount of angles of the Gupta leaks, our team decided to pick on the Bell Pottinger story. And so Diana Neal and Richard Poplak in our team embarked on this journey to put a documentary together that detailed the Bell Pottinger story and how effectively they operated as Cambridge Analytica 1.0 in their history, going back, 20-odd years, and their involvement in various elections around the world. And so this documentary has now been selected to participate and to premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in January. And so we're very excited about this accomplishment. And we look forward to airing that documentary on the channel in 2020. The Daily Maverick publisher and Chief Executive Officer Styli Charalambous, thank you very much indeed joining us from Cape Town.